I don't know what will be the duration of this video as I have started now to shoot it at midnight, but yes, I'm pretty sure that this is one of the best videos on my channel. And as you have seen on my channel, I have previously discussed about how to get started, why do I hate perfectionism and all. So this video is somewhat related to it. It is kind of a corollary to it. So yeah, today I am talking about on a very interesting subject and a very relatable topic, which is intellectuals procrastinate more than the dumb ones. Yes, you heard it right. Surprisingly, the intellectual peoples actually they procrastinate more than the dumb people, and it is quite evident in our day-to-day life, as you have seen in your surroundings as well. The people who are actually smarter, the people who are having a relatively higher IQ, are sort of more reluctant to do a task as compared to the people who possess relatively lower IQ and just sort of can't think that deep, right? So, why does it happen so? So, according to my theory, these highly intellectual people they often possess a very sharp memory, a very big memory, or you can say they have ability to actually store high volumes of information, and they most of the times go through this analysis paralysis kind of things, right? They have the fear of, you can say, the potential outcomes. They have the fear of potential risk involved in it, the major flaws involved in the task which they are about to do so. Whereas for a dumb person or a person who is having a relatively lower IQ, and by the way, don't get offended when I am saying the word dumb, because it is defined as it is, you know, because I might be dumb. I might be dumb when I am compared to another person who might be having relatively higher IQ than me, or someone else might be dumb when compared to me if they have a relatively lower IQ than me. So there is no offense, I am not shaming anyone, but yeah, or if you have any problem, let's stop using the word dumb, but let's use this word relatively lower intellectuals, or you can say people who have relatively lower IQs. So yeah, let's get back to the topic. As I was saying, that these highly intellectual people they actually go through a lot of analysis paralysis thing, with the potential outcomes, with the major flaws or the potential risk involved in the task even before getting started. Whereas the dumb sorry whereas the people with lower IQs, they are I can say they are not smart enough, or they are not simply able to look into these potential outcomes, these major flaws or the risk involved in the task. They simply cannot see that. And I think that it is a very big win for the dumb, or it is a very big win for the people having lower IQ, because sometimes in life we just need to get started in order to be better at it, in order to achieve that thing, right? And that is where I think the high IQ people get behind these lower IQ people. You know, you might be observing this in your surroundings as well. So let's not be very strange or not be very much surprised at it. I think it's a very niche topic. It's a very niche observation, right? Let me turn on my lightings. Yeah. So let's continue this. And what I believe, that this analysis paralysis thing, this restricts a lot of intelligent people to actually get started and to get the things done, which is, I think, a major drawback for the intelligent ones. Whereas the dumb people, whereas the people with lower IQ, they get away with it. They do not even realize that there is a potential danger, there is a potential outcome, or too much risk involved in it, right? So let us discuss about that, how this intelligent people and the dumb people face difficulties in doing out or in carrying out a particular activity, because it is not that these lower IQ people don't have any issues as such, or just getting started is the only way. As I have actually myself said in the previous videos, I myself have stated in the previous videos that getting started is the key. But after getting started, to navigate your path, to actually clean that cluster of thoughts, is also very important to ultimately achieve the bigger goal, right? So these lower IQ people, they might outclass the highly intelligent people by bypassing the analysis paralysis situation. But yes, as we know, everyone faces difficulties in their life in their own ways, and it is unique, right? So let us discuss it. So the first point which comes into my mind is that this was the first one which was covered under the concept of analysis paralysis situation. The second one, which I personally believe, and even the researchers say, that problem solving speed, this problem solving speed is also a matter of fact, a parameter which can be discussed upon how the high IQ people and the low IQ people differ in it, and how they kind of struggle with it, right? So these researchers and even my thoughts says that the high IQ minds, they get stuck in refining a perfect strategy. They get stuck in refining a perfect, a picture perfect plan, uh, a miraculous blueprint to work upon, you know. So this is somewhat related to the first point as well, but to actually explain this point, I am bringing this out, that the high IQ people may get stuck in a refining a perfect strategy, in refining a inch perfect blueprint to work upon, whereas these lower IQ people, they may struggle to actually break a complex goal. They might struggle to break down into manageable steps, or just simply leading out of frustration. Now, leading out of frustration is common to both the high IQ ones and the low IQ ones, but I do think that the low IQ ones, they might get started earlier than the high IQ people, but while doing the task, they definitely might feel overwhelmed by the complexity of the task, by the complexity of the work and all. So yeah, the problem solving speed, I think high IQ people win in this situation, whereas lower IQ people might suffer into this. But yes, as you all know, that the only thing which can destroy iron is rust, is by rusting itself. But that doesn't complete the story, because rusting requires so many different situations, so many different environment, right? It requires humidity, it requires what else, oxygen and all. So yeah, that explains our third point, which is the working memory as well, right? So according to this, the working memory, the high IQ procrastinators, they can juggle into the mental complexity, into the mental threads of the task, that they might easily figure out how complex the task is, but they might get overwhelmed by it, as a result of overthinking. They might get overwhelmed by it, whereas these lower IQ people, they may experience a lower working memory capacity, as I have talked in the earlier point as well, that they usually don't experience the, you can say, potential risk, potential outcomes of the task. But it makes it harder for these people to track down the multiple task requirement at once, as it is a blessing as well as a curse for them at the same time, simultaneously, because when you don't know what's gonna happen or what might happen, then you also don't know how to deal with it. right? If you are an ignorant, if you actually a truly low IQ person, or you are a truly ignorant person, you might even don't know how to deal with the task, right? So that is how it can you can say counterbalance both the factors, right? And the last one, I think the last point explains it all. The last point explains it so well, which is the perfectionism. Perfectionism versus efficiency. Now, as I have been talking about this in a lot of videos and in this video as well, that this high IQ procrastination is heavily driven by a fear of not meeting the self imposed standards. By not meeting a set of self imposed standards, self regulated tasks, they are just afraid of it, that what if they don't do this in a particular way, or what if they don't meet the requirements which are made up by them, which are made up by their mind, right? Whereas the lower IQ procrastination, these things are mostly driven by a lower self efficiency, a lack of, you can say, a lack of confidence. As I have talked to my earlier videos, that I think it was the first video on my channel, that confidence, I might be bringing this in another video about confidence, but yeah, let's get back. That lower self efficiency is driven by a lack of self confidence in one's basic ability, the basic ability to complete a certain set of tasks. So it is the battle, it is ultimately the fight between perfectionism and efficiency. The higher IQ people, they are afraid of not meeting the self imposed regulations, whereas the lower IQ people, they are just not much confident about themselves, right? So it all breaks down to perfectionism versus efficiency, as well as accompanied by the earlier points which I discussed in this video. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's just important to be, to get started and to navigate your path through the process, which I will be bringing upon the next videos. I will be talking upon these things in the next videos. This video was basically about the how high IQ people differ by low IQ people in terms of task management, in terms of starting to do things, So that was it in this video. I hope you liked this video by Social Beast Hunter. So this is your Social Beast Hunter SBH signing off. Till then, stay happy. Peace.